This is the MOJO Weekly News.
Well, good evening. There's been traffic chaos in the city during peak hour over the past few days after climate activists blocked roads in their fight for action on climate change. It's part of a spring rebellion campaign which aims to be disruptive to bring attention to what they say is climate inaction. And it's not over yet. Sheetal Singh joins me now. Sheetal, there's more protests to come.
Yes, Chester. Extinction Rebellion plans to continue with the protests throughout the week in multiple places in the CBD. This comes at the peak hours to create confusion and chaos. This comes in response to the climate inaction by the people and the government.
But not only in Melbourne, similar protests took place in more than 60 cities around the world. These disruptions come as a response to government's inadequate action on climate change. The group is calling for governments to declare a climate emergency, make rapid transition away from coal and reduce emissions to zero by 2025. Their core group has set up camp at Carlton Gardens, from where they disperse into groups disrupting traffic at multiple corners of the city. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews questioned the method of climate activists. These demonstrations are a part of international campaign by Extinction Rebellion. This group rose to prominence in April when it disrupted traffic in central London for 11 days.
Protester Andrew George apologized in advance for causing disruptions to the city. He said in a statement, "I'm really sorry that we have to inconvenience people, but unfortunately the government has left us no choice."
Sheetal, thank you for the update. All right, I want to take you to some developing news now. When former champion horse trainer Darren Weir has been charged with multiple animal cruelty offences for allegedly torturing, abusing, overworking and terrifying thoroughbred horses.
Chester, this comes after police raided Weir's home earlier this year to find illegal items such as a jigger, which is used to stimulate a horse during a race to make it go faster. Weir was charged with a total of 9 offences, including conspiracy to defraud racing stewards, as well as 3 counts of engaging in the torturing, abusing, overworking and terrifying of a thoroughbred racehorse. Earlier I spoke to Kristen Lee from the Coalition for the Protection of Racehorses, who spoke to Mojo News following the accusations against Weir.
4 years banned from the industry is certainly not appropriate. He should have a lifetime ban.
Racing Victoria said in a media release, former licensed trainer Darren Weir, who has also been named in the media today in connection with the charges, is currently a disqualified person serving a 4-year ban over charges laid earlier this year by RV stewards under the rules of racing. Mr Weir will be directed to attend an inquiry at a later fixed date. Chester.
And now here's Tavleen Singh with Look Back at the week's top stories.
Eurydice Dixon's sadist killer James Todd told the Supreme Court his life sentence is particularly hard. 20-year-old Todd is taking the matter to the Court of Appeal, asking for a lesser sentence for brutally murdering the young comedian. He says he did not deserve life in jail because he had never committed a crime before he stalked, raped and murdered 22-year-old Eurydice Dixon. His lawyers argue Todd's otherwise good character, along with his youth, background, admissions to police, history with Asperger's syndrome, should have seen his punishment discounted. A tram came off the tracks on Sunday and smashed through a front fence after a dramatic crash with a car in queue. The collision on Cotham Road ended up stopping services on 2 popular routes, with tram 109 and 48 being delayed for services. Passengers aboard the tram have indicated that it was the driver of the white SUV that dangerously pulled out in front of the tram, causing the accident. While it brought Melbourne East tram services to a near standstill, no serious injuries were reported. Australian drug smuggler Cassandra Sainsbury's upcoming bid for parole has been delayed by a series of scandals at the Colombian jail. Sainsbury, who is also suffering undiagnosed health issues, had been due to begin the parole process by year's end. But her Bogota lawyer Orlando Herran said this was now postponed for an unknown period after a high-profile prison break on the back of a food poisoning outbreak and claims of corruption saw El Buen Pastor's chief ousted last week. The Adelaide drug mule has spent 2 years in jail now. American actor and comedian John Bowie has been charged with the murder of his wife, Roxlyn, after an investigation into her disappearance almost 4 decades ago. Roxlyn Bowie was 31 when she was last seen at the couple's Walgett home in June 1982. The 69-year-old denies killing Miss Bowie and was extradited to Sydney on Saturday morning. He faced the Parramatta local court on Sunday, where his appeal for bail was refused. A single dad from Italy, Luca Trapenzi, adopted baby Alba in 2017 when she was barely 2 weeks old. Alba was born with Down syndrome, but the 41-year-old didn't hesitate in adopting the baby and giving her a loving home. As a gay single man in Italy, it wasn't easy to adopt a baby, and for Alba, a chance at family came after she had been rejected by 20 families, including her own. The father-daughter's magical tale has been documented by the doting father on social media over the past 2 years.
Smokers are now forced to butt out of Bourke Street Mall if they want to light up, following a ban on cigarettes in the area. It's become the 11th smoke-free zone in the city, with the ban covering the section between Elizabeth Street and Russell Place.
The smoking ban on Bourke Street came into effect last Friday in a move to prevent people from passive smoking. The ban extends to non-smoking in the pathways in Bourke Street and in between the intersection of Elizabeth Street and Russell Place. However, e-cigarettes have not been banned. The council has said that they have set $93,000 for the installation and maintenance of smoke-free signs and will also spend $50,000 on community engagement, communication and promotion for all smoke-free areas in the city. Here is what some people have to say about the ban.
It's a fantastic idea. It's respectful of people who don't like smoking, who find it unhealthy, and it's safeguarding people's health at the same time.
I do think that it's good to get, I don't know if it will get people to smoke less, but I think it's good to bring more awareness about smoking, and posting, I think, certain bans has shown to decrease smoking.
People will be fined $100 for smoking in a non-smoking zone, and people found littering cigarette butts anywhere in the city are facing heavier fines. It's going to be $330 for an unlit cigarette butt and $660 for a lit cigarette butt.
Dozens of people have rallied in Bourke Street Mall calling on the state government to ban the culling of non-productive farm animals. This comes after video surfaced of baby goats being shot in the head and tossed into a bin. And a warning, this package contains confronting footage.
Pleading for the lives of baby farm animals. These protesters waving banners trying to get public's attention.
If we have a look at the advertising campaigns that are currently being held by all the major supermarkets, what are the images that you see? You see happy cows wandering around in beautiful green pastures.
This demonstration comes a few weeks after videos were released showing baby male goats receiving blunt force trauma to the head and tossed into a bin. Farmers deem these male kids useless because they can't produce milk. Another video shows male chicks being killed simply because they can't lay eggs.
To many of the public, this practice may seem barbaric and unfathomable. However, this is standard practice across the industry.
This is about stopping the slaughter of innocent baby animals.
But farm animals are exempt from laws preventing cruelty to animals, and these protesters want that changed. These protesters have launched a petition calling the state government to ban cullings of non-productive male animals. Andy Medic plans to take this petition to the MPs in the next sitting week of the Parliament.
Well, the petition that I'll be bringing to Parliament, which I'm sponsoring, is entirely about the cruelty that exists in the dairy and chicken industries particularly, but across animal agriculture in general.
Sheetal Singh, MOJO News.
A plan to revitalise a waterway in Melbourne's west has been halted after more asbestos than expected was found. The Upper Stony Creek Transformation Project was meant to be completed by this month, but residents aren't happy because instead of getting a new creek and a wetland, they're left with a pile of dirt.
Well, Chester, a petition has been started by the Brimbank City Council calling on the state government to step in and complete the revitalization project. The project was initially started with $11.5 million and meant to create a natural cool zone for the community during a heat wave. The site was found to be contaminated, which has halted the project midway, leaving the area in ruins.
This is not about politics. This is about fairness. It's about justice. It's about doing what's right, and it's about equity. To Melbourne Water and to the state government, we say you can't walk away now. Don't leave us with a whopping great hole in the ground. Daniel Andrews, I'm calling on you. I'm calling on your government. We need your help on this one. We need your government to come to the table.
The petition has received almost 1,700 signatures and will soon be presented to the Victorian Parliament.
Former Labor leader Bill Shorten has reaffirmed his support for new leader Anthony Albanese and accepted responsibility for losing the election. He believes Labor had too many messages and that their policy to abolish franking credits scared off older Australians. Let's bring in political correspondent Angelica Snowden. Now, Ange, despite Labor's loss earlier this year, does Bill Shorten still have ambitions to be Prime Minister?
Chester, based on Mr. Shorten's comments, it seems like he no longer wants the top job, but he did confirm he wants to stay in Parliament. Mr. Shorten now oversees the National Disability Insurance Agency and said he would run for a seat in Maribyrnong at the next election. Now to our sitting Prime Minister. Scott Morrison was caught up in Donald Trump's drama again after revelations the White House asked Australia for help to investigate possible Russian interference at the 2016 election. The Labor Party pushed for Mr. Morrison to release the transcript of the phone call, reasoning it looks like Australia is cozying up to America and Trump, who is now the subject of an impeachment inquiry. Academics say the request for help does not imply Australian wrongdoing, but it could be politically embarrassing for Australia. Jolie King and Mark Firkin were apparently released in a prisoner swap with Tehran, although the Australian government denies this. The claims come amid the release of an Iranian doctoral student who was held in Brisbane and wanted for extradition in the US. According to the Foreign Minister, Maurice Payne, the couple were released following a very sensitive political negotiation. The Port Phillip Council has shut down parts of St Kilda Beach for 2 weeks to host the one-day Listen Out Festival. The decision angered local MP and Arts Minister Martin Foley, who said shutting off the beach for 15 days showed a callous disregard for the community. The festival, set to host 30,000 people, was held on the grand final public holiday and shut down part of the Catani Gardens and West Beach. Sections of the Bar Trail, Pier Road and Beaconsfield Parade footpath were closed as well but have since reopened. Back to you, Chester.
All right, Ange, we'll leave it there. Thank you. And now here's Nick Zachariah with a look at some AFL trade news.
Well, the AFL trade period has well and truly kicked off with Tim Kelly finally making the move from Geelong to West Coast. After a failed attempt to reach an agreement between the two clubs last year, Geelong have dug deep with their price on Kelly, trading him for 2 first-round draft picks and 2 second-round draft picks. Meanwhile, Jamie Elliott has signed on for a further 2 years at Collingwood. The Magpies will be over the moon with his decision after it was rumoured that Elliott will be moving to the Brisbane Lions. Meanwhile, Essendon have their eyes set on star Collingwood player Mason Cox, according to a rumour by The Age. However, Essendon list manager Adrian Dodoro has since denied these rumours. Dodoro also stated that the Bombers will be doing everything they can to keep star player Joe Daniher. Sydney have expressed their interest in Daniher and will be doing everything they can this trade period to get Daniher in the red and the white.
Thank you. And now here's sport with Brittany Coles. And Britt, a big win in Sydney on Sunday.
That's right, Chester. Last week, Greater Western Sydney was in disappointment after a thrashing against Richmond in the AFL Grand Final, but it was a different story on Sunday when Sydney Roosters took home the Premiership Cup. The Roosters have become the first team in 26 years to win back-to-back NRL Grand Finals, defeating Canberra Raiders 14-8 at ANZ Stadium. Fans at Marvel Stadium have been treated to a blockbuster knockout between international heavyweight champions. Israel Adesanya defeated UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker in a second round of their highly anticipated 185-pound fight, which headlined UFC 243 on Sunday. The savage display certainly put on a show for over 50,000 audience members, billed as one of the UFC's biggest events in the promotion's history. And across the sea now to China, and Aussie superstar Ash Barty has just fallen short in the China Open final. She may be ranked #1 in the world, but this time Barty has been stomped out by Japanese tennis champ Naomi Osaka. Barty claimed the first set, however the 21-year-old drew level in the second set before claiming the title 6-2 last Sunday. Unfortunately, Aussie tennis hopeful John Millman also fell short of claiming the winning title, losing the Japan Open final in straight sets to Novak Djokovic. The world #1 defeated the young Australian 6-3 and 6-2 in just over an hour of play. Millman was ranked #80 in the world, but now he has jumped up to #58. And Australia has won gold in Doha. In her final throw of the competition, Kelsey Lee Barber took home the gold medal win in the women's javelin at the World Athletics Championships. Barber is now the 9th Australian to win the World Championship Athletics title, and now Australia is well on the way to win gold in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And we've got spring racing ahead, Chester. There's surely going to be a big week of sport ahead.
Yeah, we'll look forward to it, Britt. Thank you. And that is Mojo News for now. You can stay up to date on our website, mojonews.com.au. I'm Chester Nunn. I hope you enjoy your week. From the team, bye for now.